All right. Um, this afternoon. So, the pomegranate tree, the poor tree, they get ran over by a tractor trailer a few times. Ran over by my truck, my SUV truck. Um, it was just in a bad spot. It's an obvious pathway. I myself at night tend to walk over it where it's at. It's in the natural path of where it is. So I moved it. I was looking for a place to move it. I basically probably moved it maybe 20 feet. So it was right here. I had to dig it up because it's just in the path. My deck and my deck is going to be here. So my deck is going to be here, just in the path. And chickens. Right. So I moved it over here and I had to plant it because it's starting to, the figs are, these fig trees are pretty tough. But this tree is tough. So I hope it makes it. Did a little prayer for the tree. See, it's starting to sprout its leaves. And I got my new method of planting trees, which is to hill up. It's got a lot of compost here mixed in. So I learned to hill up and do at least a 3 or 4 foot diameter um, hole and build up a mound, mix in whatever. This right here is good dirt because I laid down wood chips and a couple of years ago I laid down wood chips and cow manure. That's what this big bed, and this is a big bed of compost. So there it is, and I put in I added the blueberries back here with the rest of the blueberries, and they're starting to pop too. So I haven't had a chance to prune them. They'll be okay. Um, these two got new canes. Some of them got new canes. Some of them don't. Um, it's hard to keep up, but now it's 14 back here. It was 10. So I put these right here. I tilled this up and added to the space. Put these 3 right here. 1, 2, 3. And this one was here. One of these I moved because it was in a bad spot too. I kept walking over it. So it's probably hard to see on camera. And I'm in the shade now. Let me see if I can point it out for you. I'm trying not to go sideways. So over here, it was a fig tree already there. I let it stay. I don't know if that's part of the same fig tree, but behind the chicken coop is a fig tree that I mistakenly cut down when I first came here. It's growing back. I'm not sure if that one's growing back, but they all about the same age now. This fig tree I put here. So kind of the way I'm setting up things is to have like a beds and trees bordering the bed. So wherever I set up a bed, more than likely I'll set up like tree in between sets of beds. That's kind of what I tend to do. And they're usually fruit trees. So um, like bordering these beds is these two pawpaw trees. Then in the front of them is a kumquat tree. I had a lime tree over there, but it didn't make it. These pawpaw trees are not exactly growing. but I wanted to dig them up. I don't know if I got time to dig them up and raise them up, and I don't know how sensitive the roots is, so I'm kind of iffy if I should dig them up or just keep feeding them and see if they start growing, because this will be their third year. So sometimes they'll just take a while to establish, and then they'll start growing. But I did notice a difference. This one grew literally about a foot like it's supposed to in this first year. They're supposed to grow, I heard, a foot a year when you first plant them. And they're doing that, then they doing all right. Let me give you an example that I know. This one has grown. It's a citrus tree. It's grown at least a foot last year, because I cut this off, and this was the bigger part. I cut this off once again to track the trailer when I had to park it back here. The trailer was parked back here, and I ran over some tree. I had to cut the mulberry tree and everything to get that thing back here, but this where it was. It was right parked right up in here, and yeah, it was amazing. That thing was parked right back here just last year, and this one has recovered and has grown about a foot. So that means it's done took root and it's growing. So I noticed the year after it got damaged, it still grew a foot. So I'm not gonna mess with that tree. These other fig trees, on the other hand, were not growing a foot. I got time. Try not to make this an extremely long video. These guys were not growing a foot, and they weren't dying, but they weren't growing. One of them was dying, and then I had too many blueberries too close to the trees, and I don't want to have. This is kind of the first ideal, and I've went through maybe two. This is like my second design for this space. So, but since I moved the blueberries to the back, I left this blueberry bush here because it was doing pretty good. So it's far enough away from this tree. So from what I read about these two trees here, they grow 10 to 20 feet tall and 10 feet out. So I made sure this tree got 10 feet, 5 feet this way, 5 feet that way. And it'll have space to grow. And then I raise it up, put it on the mound. So this 3 feet diameter, not a radius, but diameter, from what I've learned so far, is what it needs to get established. Once it get established, it's straight. But when you first plant them, once they hit 3 feet, their root system diameter, then they officially establish, and you don't gotta baby them no more. So this one's got 3 feet, that one's got 3 feet, and these are two fig trees, and you'll see it in the near future, kind of what I'm setting up. So it'll be a fig tree, kind of two fig trees in front of the greenhouse, and that's kind of be a random blueberry bush. There's the front garden bed, and then right here is be the this one hole here. You can't see it, and a hole there. I'm gonna put them two together, so it'll be a pond up here, and it'll attach. It'll be manual and electric pump, so I can be able to do it manually too. It'll attach to the greenhouse, and inside the greenhouse, more like in the winter time, I'll have maybe an aquaponics system, or a system attached, kind of aquaponics, to filter the water of the pond through there and have some plants growing in there. That's the plan. So there'll be a pond here, and this is this whole property is, when you get past that tiny house, back where them those pecan trees are, it starts sloping down, and all the way back down there is a stream. So two reasons for the trees. One is to stop what they call to stop it from eroding, because I'm going to plant there, but you don't want it to just be a clear path for it to erode over time, especially past where that the little green chicken coop. That's where the sloping starts. It really starts going downhill. So that's why I plant the trees. It's kind of like what do you call it? It's kind of like planting contour. I forget what they call it. It's kind of like that when I'm doing, but I'm not. I can't remember the name of them, where you dig the ditches to stop the erosion. But I'm doing it with the trees. So this pond up here will catch water and hold it here. Then I can plant my garden space here. I have the greenhouse here. The greenhouse will work with my pond. So that'll be my, and then you have these two trees here. They kind of hold the line. The trees dig down and they hold the ground. So in between the trees, I can have a planting space. So here I got a planting space. So you have two trees there, planting space. This mulberry tree is gonna stay. That citrus tree will stay. And this tree, there'll be a tree here. Somewhere around here there'll be a tree. If this one makes it, we'll see. It hasn't died yet, so I'm not gonna wash it out, but I'm kind of afraid to dig it up, but I might have to dig it up. I don't know how tender it is. And I have a few fruit off of it. At least 3 kumquats, little bitty tangerine looking things. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So tree, bed, tree, tiny house, bed. You see what I'm doing? Tree. Here's a pawpaw. These are pawpaw trees. Tree, and I'm gonna get it right. Just because even if these, no, I can replace them. But I just have to learn how to plant them here because it's different. So tree, bed again. Chicken coop. Then we get over here where this isn't gonna be. It's still gonna be tree. These are fruit trees. This fig, right? Bed, and this bed is not trees, but these are blueberries, so they stay here. So they're gonna develop their root system. Right now they gotten about 2 feet tall. Maybe I've heard they'll get up to 4 feet. But this bed of berries will establish like a holding ground. Water tends to hang out here. Water wants to hang out there, right? So holding water there, holding water here. I'm not trying to hold water here though. So around the tiny house, I already built a drain and the trench. But the trees, what I'm saying is the trees, once they get established, they'll hold the ground and hold the water. And you can have a bed around. So this will be, this was 14 blueberries in this bed. It was 10, I added 4. 14 blueberries. And here's that pomegranate tree. I don't know if you can see like the hill. Let me get out here. You see that? See that hill? Right there. That's the hill I dug. So that's probably 2 feet. So that's all fresh dirt. So the rooting system hopefully will grow into that. And by the time it gets to the bottom of that, it'll be established. And then it can, because this back here is probably another 6 to 1 foot of more topsoil. Some of it I put here. By the time it gets to that, it'll be established, and then it'll dig into the clay if it needs to. But it being on that hill, give it a chance to establish while it's a baby. So that's it. So to recap, kind of the design of what I'm going here. I don't know if you call it permaculture or not, but that's what they're trying to call it. But it's just a natural, instead of having, because I'm not running this like I don't have a tractor. It's not long lines of rows, and that's pretty unhealthy anyway. But this is be trees, tree, bed, tree, bed. So I got, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 trees. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 trees planted, 2 beds, another 2 trees planted, 2 beds, another 2 trees planted, 2 beds, 1, 2, 3. Even the ones I didn't plant, I'm counting though. 1, 2, 3 trees planted, bushes in this bed, and then in the back here, I planted another. And this is gonna be the walkway. I planted another on another mound here, pear tree, apple tree. This will be a bed. I got to deal with this. Behind the chicken coop will be a bed, right? Then there's left over here. This was part of a probably. I heard this was like some kind of store here at one time, a long time ago. I won't comment on that, but it was like a community like store here before this house was here, and some of the foundations here kind of help stop the what would be a washing. This would wash right into there. So while I'm still I cut down some of these trees that I didn't want. I'm replacing the trees that I cut down with fruit trees. And even though these pecan trees are old and almost dying, I'm sure they'll be here probably. If I'm gonna trim some of them, and they'll probably be here as long as I'm here. If not, I'll cut them down. But so you get what I'm saying? It's a slope. So I'm planting the trees. I forget what they call it. It's kind of like setting up a boundary on the slope to stop the erosion. So the water, when it rains, it just don't wash. Because if you didn't have anything here and you just planted beds, the water, when it rains on a slope like this, would slowly basically wash away what you need to plant on, and it'll wash it all out and wash into the stream. And eventually the stream will come this way and just, it's like a mudslide. So I cut some trees, but I also plant some trees to take their place. So I don't know if you can see, I'm standing up here with the phone level. My head is standing over here, probably not, maybe even 50 feet. My head level is level with the base of the tiny house. Now, that's how much slope this is. So I want to plant in it. To plant in it, I still got to establish my tree line in the bed so the ground stays. I wish I could draw it out for you. I'll make a drawing and share it. I got kind of a drawing of what I'm doing and the way I'm doing it, but I don't know if that explains it, but that's it. So it's tree, bed, tree, bed. So basic, but I think it'll work. And that's it. Work's done for the day. Morning, time for me to go slave for the man this evening. But I got these ones that I think are not so tough. The fig trees are tough, but these ones that they're starting to sprout, I got them in the ground. This one's questionable. He might be still alive. We'll see if it comes back. It's got a little bit of something on there. A couple of buds. It's got hope, but it's in the ground now. This one's definitely doing its thing. I'm not sure if those will be berries or leaves. I think those might be berries. So that one's definitely doing its thing, and I had to get them in the ground. So I don't want to repeat myself. This will be a half-an-hour video. Nobody watches my videos. So that's it. Tree, bed, tree, bed. I kind of got a picture in here of it. Let me see if I can share that with you. I'm sure I drew. Yeah, I drew the picture of it right there, and that's it. Bum, 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 bum. I'm not finding things on here that I should. But here's yeah, this is it. So it's like tree, 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 bed, bed, bed. Yeah, that's it. Tree, bed. Yeah, so I got to redraw this. I got to make a better picture, but it's something like this. Trees, beds, trees, beds, trees, beds, and go all the way back. And work the chickens in with their compost piles. And that's kind of my design. I wouldn't call it no type of design. That's kind of from all the stuff I've learned with this slope I'm dealing with. And the ground the way it is here. That's the design I've come up with, and I'm sticking to it so far. I just had to learn how to plant trees. You can't just stick them in the ground. Down here, you got to build it up and stick them on the ground and give them big radius. And we'll see if that works. You'll see, we'll all see this year. We'll watch, see how it grows. And some of these trees like this are doing it. Some of them died. These damn eggs. And they're not damned. Those are blessed eggs. Some of them died, and some of them are not dying, but they're not really growing. So we'll see. We'll see. I think this works better. And I figured it by dealing with this compost pile here. It was a big pile like that, and I really just knocked it down, bam, and planted it in it because I didn't really feel like moving it. That's how that came about. It's kind of part of the design. I said, let me knock it down. I'm going to plant some over here. I just knocked it over, and I'm like, you know, this tree did way better than the tree it came from. So then somebody told me about the 3-foot radius thing and mixing in the sand with the soil because the clay is hard to plant in just straight clay. And I've done compost and a little bit of sand, and we'll see how that goes. So let's give a little prayer for the pomegranate tree. I like pomegranates, so I hope I don't have to go buy another one. I hope this one makes it, and we'll see. So spring is here. This little guy's shooting off buds. Leaves are popping. I'm out. You can see what my spring looks like. I know I look a hot mess. I look better. In the summertime, I'm out. Shalom.